Thank you for taking a moment to learn more about the electronic poll pads we use at the Pickaway County Board of Elections to assist voters on Election Day. Everything you will need to process voters you will find inside the heavy-duty poll pad case. We'll begin setting up by pressing down on the inside of the handle to release the clasps and move them out of the way. Once the case is open, you'll see the kiosk with the iPad mounted on top and the printer inside the kiosk. If you'd feel more comfortable removing the kiosk without the iPad mounted, simply grasp the piece of metal that reads poll pad and pull it away from the iPad and lift up on the pad. You may then place the iPad to the side. Now you can remove the kiosk from the case. These are in there fairly tight, so you may need to use one hand to hold the case down and the other to remove the kiosk, or have a fellow poll worker hold on to the case while you remove the kiosk. With the kiosk out of the case, be sure to grab the blue metal ID tray as well as the cords. Also, be sure to grab one of the styluses, as you'll be using that throughout the day. With everything you need removed from the case, you can close it up and place it somewhere out of the way. The next step is to connect the power cords and plug them into an outlet or power strip. Once the cords are connected and plugged in, they need to be fed through the opening in the back of the kiosk. The cable with the white tape lets the printer talk to the iPad. The cable with the red tape provides power to the printer. The cable with the flat end, known as a lightning connection, should be fed up through the large opening at the rear of the kiosk. We'll get to that in a minute. After connecting the cables to the printer can be put back into the kiosk and should rest securely in the slots provided. Be sure to press the button at the front right of the printer to turn it on. The button will turn blue and the printer will beep. The blue ID tray can then be attached to the back of the kiosk. There is a slot that the tray can be put into, and it allows it to rest securely on the kiosk. Now you can connect the lightning cable to the right side of the iPad. Once you plug in the lightning cable, the iPad should come to life. You can then press the home button, which is the round button next to where the lightning cable was plugged in. This will bring up the poll pad app. Using the stylus, press the Get Started button at the bottom of the screen. At this point, the iPad will ask for a pair of usernames and passwords to get the tablet ready for voters. These can be found on your yellow card. Once logged in, you will see a screen showing the acceptable types of identification and how they should be handled. Before processing a voter, though, load a ballot card into the Express Vote printer. Most voters will present you with a driver's license or state ID card. In those instances, you will check to ensure the ID is not expired, place the ID in the tray with the barcode facing toward the iPad, and press the Scan Barcode button on the iPad screen. The camera on the iPad will activate, read the barcode, and bring up the voter's information. At this point, you will have the voter state their name and address. If the name and address they state matches what is on the screen, you will press Accept in the upper right corner of the screen. This takes you to the signature page. At this point, you will hand the voter the stylus and flip the screen to where it now faces them. The screen will rotate and the voter will sign at the bottom. They can hit the Done Signing, or you can select it after flipping the screen back towards you and getting the stylus back from the voter. You will now see the signature attached to their voter record, so you may compare it to what they just signed on the iPad. If these have a strong similarity, press the Submit button. This will activate the printer to complete their ballot card. You will then remove the ballot card from the printer and hand it to the voter. The iPad will return to the main screen and you are now ready for the next voter. This is how most of the day will go, as almost all voters will present you with a valid Ohio driver's license or state ID card. There will be a handful of instances where they have one of the other acceptable forms of ID, and the process starts up a little differently. On the main page of the iPad, you see on the right-hand side the other types of ID a voter can use. If they have one of these, press the Manual Entry button. Use the stylus to type in the first 3 letters of the last name and the first 3 letters of the first name and press Search. You will see anyone who matches up with those letters. Once you've identified the correct person, tap anywhere in the area around their name. The screen will ask you to identify what type of ID the voter presented. It will then ask you whether or not the ID is expired. After confirming the ID is not expired, there will be a screen reminding you that the ID has to be current. After pressing OK, you will go to the screen with the voter's name and address. At this point, it is the same process as you would have done with a voter who presented a driver's license. They will state their name and address, you will hand them the stylus, flip the screen so they can sign, they will sign, you'll bring the screen back to you, get the stylus back from the voter, compare the signatures, accept the signature, and press submit to issue their ballot card. Around 11 a.m. and 4 p.m., it will be necessary to print a list of all those who have voted at the location. Each polling place will have one small printer to use for this purpose. When it comes time to print the list, the lightning cable plugged into the iPad will need to be removed so the green cable connected to the printer can be plugged in. To access the report, press the menu button in the upper left corner of the screen. It will show a screen with several buttons. You want to select the summary report in the upper left of the circle. It will ask for a password, which you will find on the yellow card. For the 11 and 4 list, you will select the check-ins option that is fourth from the left. That will bring up a list of all the people who have voted at your location. Tap the print button at the bottom of the screen to print the list. After the list is printed, you can disconnect the green cable and set the printer to the side. Plug the regular lightning cable back into the iPad, and you are now ready to begin processing voters again. At the end of the night, it will be necessary to print a summary report. This will show you how many voters have been processed at the location during the day. The small printer will need to be hooked up to the iPad again so this report can be printed. This is the last thing for which you will need the tablets. Similar to the 11 and 4 list, you would go to the menu, select Summary Report, put in the code, and then at this point, the Summary Report is the default report on the screen. Once you have printed that report and the voting location manager has said all is well, you can begin shutting down the tablets and returning them to their cases. Note that each case, kiosk, and iPad is numbered. Care should be taken at multi-tablet locations to ensure everything is returned to the proper case. Remove the Express Vote printer from the kiosk and then disconnect the cables. They need to be pulled out through the hole in the back. The Express Vote printer can then be put back into the kiosk. Remove the ID tray from the back of the kiosk and place it in the cutout area in the foam before placing the kiosk back in the case. The power cord should be placed in the area on the left of the case, and the stylus should be put back in the round hole in the foam for holding the styluses. The case can then be closed up and sealed for its return. With the machines closed, tablets sealed up, and all the reports signed, you are now ready to help the voting location manager load their vehicle with those items they will be returning to the board office, and then you can head home to get some much needed rest. We appreciate all you do to help the voters of Pickaway County, and we hope you have a great election day.